Altis Rathaus?
Deutsche Welle.
Yep, Deutsche Welle, okay.
Hopefully somebody will be coming, because that's here.
Yep.
That's the main entrance, so I think we're good to go.
Okay.
Wherever the guide is, I don't know. Where are you from?
Tunis.
From
I'm India. I'm from
Where from in
India.
India?
Yep.
Where from?
Kolkata, do you know?
Calcutta, so West Bengal.
West Bengal, yes.
So you speak Bengali and Hindi and English and everything.
You are working with media, you must be a polyglot.
Yes, in India certainly.
Yep.
To a degree,
Yep.
I'd say. If you're not living in the Uttar Pradesh.
Nice.
I've never been there, but lots of news. Sometimes it's depressing to the point that it's sometimes, you don't know, like you laugh because all of these.
Stand to my legs, please.
Okay.
So, and my hair. That's fine. That's fine. Okay. So one decided on 9 years before Christ. One says that Bonn was started then, and we know that before the time there were some Germanic tribes that lived here. But in German there is a saying that says, "Wer schreibt, der bleibt." Does someone know a bit of German?
Yeah.
Do you understand what that means?
Yeah.
It means you can talk and talk and talk for many years, and then somebody comes and he writes down something, and immediately they will talk what he talks about. The one who writes is the one who is remembered. So before the time there were Germanic tribes here, but they didn't write anything. So that's why one says that the Romans created the town. And it was 9 years before Christ, and it was Caesar Augustus. Those of you who know the Bible, the same one. He wanted to invade this area right up to the Elbe, which is today Dresden, and right up to Bremen. So he told his stepson, who was called Drusus, to build all along the Rhine, to build 50 forts. And the biggest fort was built here in Bonn, and they called it Castra Bonnensia, and that's where Bonn gets its name from, Castra Bonnensia. So the Romans were here for 450 years, and when the Franks came, they chased them away, and the Franks then changed the name to Bona. It was called Bona. But after that, the electors from Cologne came. They were chased out of Cologne, the churchmen, and they made Bonn their capital, and they wanted to change the name from Bonn to Verona. Do you have any idea why? Verona.
No.
Well, just look at our weather. Hot weather, beautiful weather. Even in winter, it doesn't get very cold. So they even made this what do you call this thing? A seal. What do you call this thing?
Stamp, a seal.
A seal. And the name Verona is there. It says Verona. But in those years already, the Bonn people were. Am I not too loud? I think it's too loud.
No.
The Bonn people already were Rhinelanders, and the Rhinelanders don't listen to what other people say. They do what they want to do. Still today. So they said, no, it's not Verona, it's Bonn, and that's why till today it's called Bonn. So that's just the quick fast forward through the history. And then after the Second World War, of course, Bonn became the capital city. I don't know if you all know that yet. You're much too young to know that, really. For me, it's terrible when I do tours. I said to you, and then, what, you don't know that? Oh, okay, they were born like 30 years after that. They can't know it. So Bonn was then the capital city. And then in 92, of course, they started going to Berlin. But we'll come to that a little bit later. So first we're going to jump now back to, why, if you do a Bonn tour, why Beethoven, do you know that? Why?
Bonn is the city of Beethoven.
Beethoven was born here in the city. And that's why you were also going to, so like I said, we're going to jump. So now we're going to jump to Beethoven, and we're going to have a look at that church over there. As you see, it's not a very high steeple. It has a low, it's called a turret, and it's significant for the Franciscan brothers, because the Franciscan brothers were the poor brothers, let's call them that. And they said it's to show their modesty. They don't have a huge, big steeple, they say they're modest, they just have a small. So whenever you see a church with a little turret, you can be more or less sure that it's a Franciscan. So that used to belong to the Franciscans, and in the days of Beethoven, that church had the biggest organ. And he had just started playing the organ in the minster, which we will see just now. And he knew that this one had the biggest organ, and he was always very ambitious. And as a little boy, he came here, and it was a brother of Willibald who taught him to play the organ. And unfortunately, in 1944, with the big bombings, in October 1944, this part of Bonn was totally bombed. It was all bombed away. Used to be the old town. And then the organ was unfortunately destroyed. And today, the console of the organ is in the Beethoven house. And if you have time to go there, if you're interested, you'll see the console. So we will go in there, and then you will see in this church, Beethoven was baptized in the Remigius Church, which the old Remigius Church doesn't exist anymore. And this one, the church got the name of Remigius. And when that church was burnt down, they brought this is called a font, where he was baptized. And the original font where Beethoven was baptized was in that church. So we can quickly go to that church if you're interested. Are you interested to see it? So let's quickly go.
I'm from West Bengal, Calcutta.
Calcutta. Read it in the Bible a lot of times.
Okay,
Friends it.
okay. Many people from Ghana, Nigeria are living there.
Oh, wow. Really?
'Cause-
He's from Ghana.
Okay, because in Kolkata, there's soccer is very
Oh, so they come to soccer.
they come for football,
Okay.
and many of them plays in many teams, many divisions.
Oh, many divisions over there. And I know you know Ghana, we like football.
Yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
Ghana, Nigeria.
Yeah. We like football. India too like football.
Yep,
But cricket is more.
cricket is more, but my part, they are football lovers.
Oh, really?
Kolkata is a city of football. Okay. আলোচিত এই চার্চটির মধ্যেই বিটোভেন ব্যাপটাইজড হয়েছিলেন, এবং তিনি এখানকার একটা বিরাট অর্গান ছিল যেটা উনি বাজাতে খুবই ভালোবাসতেন, এবং ওইটি বাজানোর জন্য উনি বারবার এখানে আসতেন। এই অঞ্চলের সবচেয়ে বড় পাইপ অর্গান ছিল এই চার্চে সেই সময়।
So if you see these, in 2020 we wanted to have this big Beethoven festival because it was his 250th year, and unfortunately Corona came. So, but in that time they put in 22, well actually in town 11, and around the region where you used to walk another 11, so 22. Any idea why 22?
Yeah, 2022.
Because he lived here for 22 years.
Okay.
He was born here and he lived here for 22 years, and then he went to Vienna. So all these pillars or whatever you call them are always places which are really authentic for Beethoven. That's something. So like I said, he learned to play the organ here. Actually, the organ was in this church. I don't know if you had a look at this organ now, which is here now. It's a Kleis organ. Kleis is a little family firm. And they've been building organs for many years, and all over the world. In Singapore, they have this wonderful bamboo organ.
You say the biggest. You mean the
It
biggest
used
in Bonn?
in his time, in Beethoven's time. In Beethoven's time.
I've seen the organ in the cathedral.
Cologne Cathedral, yes, that's a huge one.
That was not there when Beethoven lived dear. Okay, in Beethoven's time. Beethoven was born in 1770. Okay, yeah. So when he was 10 years old, he voluntarily came every morning at 6 and played in the mass. So today I want to tell that to children.
Is it true that he could not hear?
He started turning deaf when he was like 24 years old, class 6. And for him it was terrible. Not for him, the worst thing was, for him it was a shame that he who composes sounds couldn't hear them. So for many, many years he hid it. He didn't tell people that he was going deaf. And only later when really it was terrible. That's why also one says that Beethoven was very rude. But you can imagine if somebody greeted or spoke to him from behind,
He couldn't know.
he couldn't hear, and so he just carried walking on, and people then interpreted that as being rude, although he was not the most polite person. So let's quickly go to his birth. That's why they're all the same. And the interesting thing was they were all built the same, but then you could have a catalogue. In a catalogue, you could decide which facade you wanted to have. So that's facade. And then if you have a look at the house where over there, the orange tiles, the one next to it, it has like a gable, and there's nothing behind it. And that's what people in those days liked to do that, because the more stories you had, the richer you were. So some people just built a gable so that one thinks it's another story. So now we go down our walk of fame. The Bonn walk of fame.
Okay.
Important personalities from Bonn. It's actually just to show the way down to the beach of the house.
One multiplies.
I know that actually I have friends from Tunisia and
Okay.
in Germany. I couldn't understand any of
Okay. Okay. Very beautiful church.
The story of Kiko was that she got married to this older man. I don't know if he abused and had an accident with a boat, a big boat ran into her. She was crossing, and the young man saved her life. And they fell in love, and it was a very unusual pair. And he was a revolutionary. And then she was also in her mind a revolutionary, and she, like all women do, she supported him, his ideas and all that as well. But the sad story was that, a long story, he was caught because of his ideas, and he was put into prison in Berlin, and she managed with a friend to free him from prison, and he fled to England. Meantime, she had 4 kids, and she could flee them as well to England. And then in England, unfortunately, he just became such a macho, and he just was surrounded by exiled revolutionaries. And she had to do the cooking and the cleaning and the teaching, and she had to support because they had no job. When she was 44, they say that she had a heart attack when she stood in front of the window and she fell down. She died. But I can imagine that. That's just a short story of her life. I can imagine that she was depressed as well. all those hardships. She also wrote that everything we fought for, that's all forgotten. I'm just like the cleaning lady now. So the story of this church, it was a Franciscan church, and I don't know if you noticed the pews inside. Very beautiful pews. When the French came, like I said, everything was secularized, and they destroyed most things that were in churches, and they also in the castle they destroyed. But in this church, interesting, they did the pulpit. They left the pulpit. They also left the benches and the Catholics go to. What do you call that? They go whenever they've sinned, they go to talk to the priest to tell them. The confession booth. The confession booth. They used to put the hay for the horses. So the horses would get in here. So the priesthood here, actually, this church it's called an Art Katholisch, which is a little bit like Anglican, I would say. They refuse to acknowledge that the Pope is infallible, so they broke away from the Catholic Church. And the priest who is here now, he says he assumes that the benches were not destroyed because they put them together and then it was like a bed. So the soldiers slept there. The pulpit, if you stand on the pulpit, the acoustic is extremely good. So the major, general, lieutenant, whatever, could stand on there and speak to the soldiers. Yeah, and that's how I find that such beautiful. On Saturday afternoons and Thursday afternoons, they play Beethoven music in there with hi-fi loudspeakers that were made especially for this church. So now we're quickly going to go down to Beethoven's house. But who knows, it was very cold, maybe he was just born in the kitchen. Who never knows.
Can we get inside?
Sorry? Today not. One can book tours to go inside, but this tour doesn't. So here he lived for about a year, and all around here they were all the important musicians the court musicians. So why did Beethoven come to Bonn? Because Beethoven was actually today's Belgium. In those years it was Austrian Netherlands. It was those years.
Austro-Hungarian?
Austrian Holland. Yes. So, hello. At the time, the Prince Elector, who was called Clemens August, he had a lot of money, and it was a little bit like Bayern München these days. You know, the football team, they have a lot of money, so they can just buy good players from wherever they want. And it was a bit like that with him. He had a lot of money, so he could buy all the good musicians from all over Europe. He bought them. So he brought Beethoven's grandfather here. He was a tenor singer, had a beautiful voice. And so he was a court musician. He was actually the head of the orchestra. His son, who was called Johann, was also a musician. He was also a singer, but unfortunately he became an alcoholic, especially after Beethoven's mother died. And Beethoven, at the age of 14, already started earning money. And when his mother died, when he was 17, he actually asked the Prince Elector to transfer some of Beethoven, his father's salary to him, so that he could secure it for the family, because the father was drinking it all. And then with 17, when the mother died, he had the full responsibility for his brothers, and he still had a sister then, but the sister died 11 months after the mother, unfortunately. So in here, in this house here, we have the Beethoven archive, and it has over 1 million pieces of interesting literature. They still do a lot of research, Beethoven research, with everything they find. And if you see over here, we have the marble entrance between Panschleder and the bistro. There is a very beautiful little chamber orchestra room where beautiful concerts are held, and I think once a year they actually play on the original Beethoven instruments. If you're interested, is anyone interested in Beethoven? Does anybody like Beethoven music? Yeah. So if you're interested, on YouTube there are some videos. She's called Tabia Zimmermann, and she plays on Beethoven's viola. So if you're interested, so let's carry on. They break that down, and they broke down all the other walls. But the first people that Rhineland way, there were months and months of discussions and arguments and articulations. They even wrote a comedy about that people can't decide what to do with it. And then those who didn't want to have it removed wrote to the Prussian king, because the Prussian king used to study here at the University of Bonn. And you can imagine, or I can imagine, that the Prussian king, how many times he went through that gate with his girlfriend, or went outside the gate, the city walls, to have a nice time. And he said, no, we don't destroy it. So it was agreed that they break down stone by stone, and that they then, so just a little bit of that part was like they just kind of a wall, so they just added it onto the ground piece, and this is totally new. And for me, it really is new that
This was not here, right?
But, sorry?
Was built from metal or wood?
You mean that? No, it was stone.
And this was not here, right? This fountain?
This fountain was not here. They put the fountain here because people were complaining that it was so hot under here. So they put the fountain here, and actually, like you can see, it's starting now. And some is very nice because children play there, and the mothers eat ice cream with them.
Okay.
So let's carry on. Over there, we'll go closer just now. Before the Romans came, I told you that the Germanic tribes were here, and in 1928 they wanted to find out a little bit more about something else, and they dug in the crypta of the church, and they found something like this.
Okay.
And then they knew already that in the region, in the Eifel region, that there were many stones like this, and it was a cult, a Germanic cult. And so these were the two matrons, and then the Virgin matron in the middle, and they all had baskets of fruit on their laps. So it was like, worshipping fertility.
Okay.
And that they found where the church is there today. So now, the patron saints of Bonn are two. No, you come from Tunis. They were two guys from the Tiberian order, and they were from Egypt.
Okay.
So it was Caesar Maximus then. Yeah, he had this legion, and they were Christians, and they refused to offer to Caesar. So then they were martyred. They were killed. The one was killed in Switzerland. What is today Switzerland, in some Maurice. One managed to get up to Xanten, and two of them managed to get up to Bonn, and they were called Cassius and Florentius. So Cassius and Florentius are the patrons of our town. And the thing was, because they were beheaded, they were buried here. And I don't know if you know the story of how Christianity started to become it was Constantine, the Emperor Constantine, who wanted to have one religion for all his realm. And then his mother was a Christian. He never actually became baptized, but his mother was a Christian, and she worked very hard to generalize the religion. And it's unbelievable. Are there any Catholics here? because I always make a few jokes. I don't want to insult anybody.
It's okay.
If in those days there had been an estate agent, a travel agent, they would have become rich with Helena. Because what this woman in the mother, where she traveled everywhere and what she found, with 80 years old, she was 80 years old, she traveled to Jerusalem, she found a piece of the cross after 400 years. She found so many relics in Jerusalem and brought it here. She actually even, 200 years after they had been buried, she found their bones in the north of Bonn and she brought it here to the church. So she is the third patron saint. So there's this big statue of hers in the Minster. So unfortunately, because the church they haven't finished renovating it, you can't see Cassius and Florentius, but a Turkish artist, what was I doing? Made two, there they are. They lie down, but unfortunately you can't see them because they're closed for the renovation. So they are the patron saints, Cassius and Florentius. And Helena then saw to it, she made, they were buried then in the crypt, and she made a little altar over to that became a church. And then in the 7th century, the relics of these two people, a lot of those pilgrims came here, and one can say what the pilgrims of those years are the tourists of today. So they had to cater for these pilgrims' wishes. So they had to have like pharmacies and doctors and bakers and whatever, and hospitals and hotels and whatever. So this whole area over here where the square is, there were a lot of houses of men called the canons. They were a little bit like monks, except that they had all the restrictions of monks, except that they were allowed to become rich. Because monks aren't allowed to become rich. So they were really rich. They had beautiful houses. The only canon house we still have is this yellow one here, which is today the post office. So now we have to jump from there. We have to jump from there to Beethoven now again, because we see the Beethoven statue there. So in 1845, 75 years after his birth, they wanted to they wanted people and then come tomorrow. So they were like that then already. You can imagine they had the Romans, they had the French here, so they really had all that in their blood. And then after 10 years of collecting money, they still did not have enough money for that monument. So then Franz Liszt, anybody know Franz Liszt? He was also a composer, and he loved Beethoven. He met Beethoven when he was 10. I think Beethoven gave him a kiss on his forehead, and right through his life he said that for him was like the inspiration for his musical career. He thought about Beethoven and Liszt. So he then said, okay guys, he was liaised with a very rich woman, and of course, like the men, he thought that he could use as much of her money as he liked, which he did. So he gave the rest of the money for this statue. So there was a lot of quarrels that happened. So eventually, in August, the statue was, the monument was ready. So okay, now they were going to inaugurate it, but then they wanted to have a Beethoven festival. And then, of course, the Bonners, they just couldn't manage it. So Liszt came again, and he said, okay, he told them whom to invite all over Europe. They told them what to play, and he told them who should direct, who should conduct. And he managed the whole thing. And then they suddenly realized, wait a minute, we have this huge Beethoven festival with 2,000, 3,000 people, and we don't, where are they going to play? Because the university refused to give their library for the concert. So then 14 artisans came and they said, we played and we build a concert hall in 2 weeks. I believe it today. 40 days, that concert hall was there, ready for 2,500 people, and they had the concert. Okay, so then, okay, everything fine. The statue was there, and Queen Victoria came with Prince Albert. You know why? Because Prince Albert also studied here in the university, and he spoke a lot about Bonn, and she wanted to see how it was. So she came, the Prussian king came for the inauguration. Humboldt, who was a big naturalist, he came. And then 2 days before he said, "Hey, we can't let royalty sit on the same level as all the people. What are we going to do?" Somebody came up with a bright idea. We've got this beautiful building, we've got the balcony, and it's right in the right place. Problem solved. Good idea, don't you think? Queen Victoria didn't think that, of course. The day came, they went up, the music played, the drapes fell down, and Queen Victoria was not amused. Beethoven was standing with his backside to her. So that is the story of the inauguration. So it's pretty good. Will you have other time? Come, I'm going to take you to the floor.
হ্যালো, কী অবস্থা? Nice. So,
You want to check?
no, not under the. Okay. Okay. Maybe for. কোনো একজনের রেলিক, অর্থাৎ যেমন অ্যাপোলোনিয়াস চার্চে আমরা শুনেছিলাম সেন্ট অ্যাপোলোনিয়াসের দেহাবশেষ রাখা আছে, এখানেও সেরকম। এটা একটা ভূগর্ভস্থ প্রার্থনালয়, ওপরে মেন চার্চ, আর এখানে যারা প্রিস্ট তাদের মধ্যেকার গোপন আলোচনা, প্রার্থনা ইত্যাদি হতো। মাঝের যে রেলিকটা, এটা কি আমি ঠিক চিনতে পারলাম না।
Literature in those days, in 1790 it was. And then, of course, although you're all much too young, but in any case, you don't get our news. But daily, very often we used to see people on that staircase, like Queen Elizabeth was there, Kennedy was there, De Gaulle was there. There was a book that they called the Golden Book, where all the dignitaries signed always when they came, and then they would stand on the staircase and make a speech. And today, if you want to get married, you can book there, and get married in there, and then usually the family stands down here with champagne and applaud you. So that's the story of the Rajas. But now there's something close by, because you are journalists, there's something I want to show you close by. So we're going to go there. Called how to live. This one, and it's called Rubeni, who was the leader of the Jews. And then I'm just going to read one more. This one is Emil Ludwig, Genius and Character. So actually, as you don't know German much, so we won't say much here. In fact, most of the Germans do not. These were all books and authors who, in 1933, in the Hitler time, they got all these books were banned. They were not allowed. Also with Thomas Mann, there was some from Thomas Mann. And the students in Bonn were very, very arduous. They went into the homes and they collected all these banned books, and they were brought here and they were burnt here in 1933 already. And this is to commemorate that. And if you see this here, here you see all the titles of all the books that were banned. And it happened on the 10th of May in 1933. And every year, it's now since I think 2007 they started, on the 10th of May, every year they commemorate that day. And I was at the service this year. It was so beautiful. There were 7 students, because those years it was the students who did that. So there were 7 students who read passages from some of these books. And the last number 6 and 7, they made a collage, sometimes of a sentence, sometimes a part of a sentence, sometimes, and made one passage of different books. It was so powerful. And then at the end, they opened this and pulled out a crate, and in the crate there are copies of these books.
It's like a time capsule.
It's like what?
Like a time capsule.
I don't know what the time capsule is.
Very protected box.
Yes, yeah. And then they opened it, and some of us who were here got a copy. And I was lucky, I got a book of Tucholsky. I don't know if that's it, if you know it. Yeah. So I wanted to end here. That's why I started there.
A stupid question here. So the books are actually in metal, or those are like
No.
So this is just like
বিরুদ্ধবাদীদের জ্ঞানকে প্রতিহত করতে বই পোড়ানোর ইতিহাস, এটা কোনো একটা নতুন ঘটনা নয়। There was one library burning incident I can remember, probably in Reichstag there was a library burned down.
So look here it was. So it was very rainy that day. You see that? So here so the ceremony was over. So they took the crowbar thing to open it. And you can see that. So it's open, it's starting to open. And then they pulled out this crate. You see that it's open. And there the crate is. And then they opened it, and then of course people came and busted.
When was that?
On the 10th of May. So every year on the 10th of May they have that. And then they fill the crate then with the new books for next year. So I hope it was very fast tour, and I could just say they're very necessary. I hope you enjoyed it.
Definitely.
Thank you very much.
And I was told that who's never been in the church before? Me. You. so I think that you enjoyed it.
Yes, it was really fascinating.
Which church did you enjoy the most?
All of them, they were really amazing. Probably the last one was the biggest one, and also felt kind of like I think it was the old one. It felt like the old one because it had
It
all
is
of
the
those
oldest one.
press. Yeah. Felt like in the movies. Yeah, so I was kind of thinking maybe I could record a few scenes. But yeah, it's really eye-opening.
You went down as well.
Yes, I did.
We're not supposed to?
I wanted.
Went down.
Yeah, we went.
No, if it's open, you can go down.
Yeah, and there were
So-
like lots of books in the chairs. I opened one of the books. And there were like many music notes as well. So I think that was a Bible, if I'm not mistaken.
I think music books is a music.
Probably it's a prayer book.
We sing a lot in
Okay, so yes.
usually at least 4 songs we sing in the church.
Yeah, I didn't know that. It's good to know.
Maybe you can attend one.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'd love to learn.
Actually, the other day I spoke to someone who lives and I said, well, I saw it because last Sunday I don't know if you can we stand in the shade?
Yes.
Last Sunday I had a choir from which town it is. But anyways, it was a choir and they did only a beat with the church. And it was early, it was in the morning, from 10:30. So of course I took them to all the beautiful places in the church. And the churches where we went, they were music. And I mean, it started at 10:30. So I started hearing this immediately when we started. Beautiful music. Then I went to the chapel here, which is today the university. We didn't even now see. People are going to tell you, did you see the town castle? No, you didn't. That's it. We didn't have time to go past there. So, and music, beautiful music coming from there. And then we went down to the minster. Beautiful music. So I said, I can't believe that on a Sunday morning, it wasn't just like music, it was like somebody singing solo and just beautiful music. So then I said, oh, I think next I'm going to come to Bonn on a Sunday. I said to my colleagues, I'm going to shoot all the churches for beautiful music. And just listen to the music. And then actually this guy who was here today said, just to the music. So okay, so I hope that you, how many days? 2 days? Monday, Tuesday?
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Okay, then I hope you have a very prosperous, what you call it, forum, and that you will come up with a lot of good ideas. And when you go back to your countries, do you go back to Ghana?
That's 21st.
To Ghana.
21st. Okay.
I hope you will be able to bring back something to your countries. You come to Bonn again.
Thank you. Really
Thank you very much. ঐতিহাসিক বন শহরের একটা পায়ে হাঁটা ছোট ট্যুর, যাতে আমরা অনেক কিছু জানলাম। তারপরে আমরা একত্রিত হলাম ড্রিঙ্কসের জন্য এবং আড্ডা দেওয়ার জন্য। আমরা নানান দেশ থেকে এখানে একত্রিত হয়েছি। আমরা প্রত্যেকেই মিডিয়ার সঙ্গে সংযুক্ত। কেউ বিরাট প্রফেশনাল ভাবে সফল, কেউ নয়। Everyone say something.
Everyone say
Something.
something.
Not everyone likes cheese. Many of us are lactose intolerant. So whiskey. That works well. Coke. Okay.
It's very subjective. Which Coke we trust?
Say. Jumbo. Hakuna Matata.
It doesn't work.
Oh, it doesn't work?
It's working. Then if you have it.
Yeah, it works on this one. And I think I have it.
Oh, if you have a wallet.
Why is very down?
I heard someone asking for a promo run. I was like, Yeah, is that from Kelvin?
Another time. Whiskey! This time only me. So,
So back to the story.
They study in the governmental school. They don't get any information about outside of Turkey until they get 19 years old. So that's so weird for me.
Yeah.
And
But it is kind of true in the U.S. I mean, for all that, in theory, in our schools, they try to teach other things.
Maybe it's not updated in my phones. By the way, this
Not
is where
always
I
true.
said,
There was
not.
this wonderful book that came out maybe 20 years ago called Lies My Teacher Told Me, about like the real history of the world and not the one that you know.
I think it's
Because so much of what we learn is
yeah.
such a white
Okay,
male
then-
colonial perspective that is Columbus a hero or the demon? It really depends on your perspective and what you know about how awful he was.
in Germany they have great thing that when they study history or geography, they study by analyzing. They don't give you a book, you read it, and then you have the information from that book. No, they said, we have this topic, we're going to research about it and analyze it, about history and geography. And that I find that is a great thing. My children, they go to school and I read with them. Oh, it's, even for me,
You are learning.
yeah, I'm learning with them and it's funny and yeah. Analyzing
Do another one. So
in their country, even in the
first you say hi.
we are getting
Jumbo. Say in your local language is way better.
Yeah, definitely. Why not?
And to try to solve it by themselves without telling the world about it, which it kind of helped the development of the country because they rely on themselves. You never see any public system that is not made by Germany here. Never. Right? Maybe like a private consumer products, but everything used by the government is made in Germany. So that's the good side. But the bad side, of course, is to create these kind of robots that do not.
How long you've been here in Germany? Since yesterday?
No. 3 days now.
3 days now.
Yeah.
Have you seen any German flag
Few.
in the public?
A few actually. Yeah, few, but not many. Yeah. I mean,
Why? Why do you think this is very few?
I would say because Germans, I don't know, maybe.
It's forbidden.
Really?
Forbidden?
Why?
But it's the flag of the
It's
country.
weird. When I
But
went to the
few-
US, flags were
only
everywhere.
few-
Yes, it's the other extreme.
Only few institutions that they are allowed to raise the German flag.
And what's the point? Like, why is this?
I have seen actually from the train journey towards Cologne,
Yeah, you see
in some houses with the flags.
Yeah, and they. Some people are like manipulating these laws, so they raise the flag of the province.
Okay.
Why? Because after the World War II, they want to
To make a distance.
like they want the nationalist
Populist, let's say.
feeling
Yeah.
is not going to. They don't rebuild their identity, and their identity at that time is
Yes.
Nazis and
Yes. Got it.
So they, but now they have criticizing themselves, and they have so deep problems.
Yeah.
I have so many friends, German friends, and they like to talk about everything in the world except Germany.
Yes, I know.
Because of the
And when you ask them any
collective
question, they're like, yeah, good. How's the weather?
But the,
But I think it's a good thing to feel shameful about what happened in the history. Like
Exactly.
my country has a problem with facing the truth, facing the
I
history.
don't think so.
What do you
I'm
think?
shameful of only my faults.
exactly.
Okay.
I'm not going
like,
to pay for my grandfather or grandfather.
we won't be punished, but we need to call the names which are the truthful. Like, was there a genocide in Srebrenica? Yes, it was. If I'm denying that, then I'm contributing to all the evil that has happened.
Nations on earth, they have problem in it. Especially like for us as Muslims, fight, wars and everything. And we need to say, oh, there was problems, but we need to learn the lesson
Learn
so
from
we
that.
don't repeat it.
But if we don't admit it, we cannot learn.
I also
You know,
think
we have this
that of the
conversation.
German. I also think that of the German. The so-called radical people in Germany
I heard about it. The Reich.
are using the phrases of nationality, are using the phrases of patriotism, are using the phrases of we are protecting our home. We must be A, B, C, D in doing whatever they are doing. So it has now turned to something else. Anytime people see you, authorities see you communicating through that means or closer to that means, it looks like, quote unquote, you are one of them.
Hello.
So, as mainstream media, we are trying to be unofficial, that we can make or convince the audience.
To sugarcoat
Yeah.
what you're selling.
So we are like dressing with suits, and we're trying to be very serious, official, and talking in an official way.
Do you
But they don't
have
trust us.
you,
They trust a blogger or YouTuber.
YouTuber, yeah.
I
The question is, did you fund coronavirus research in Wuhan, China?
Before my time, there was the PREDICT program with which you're familiar, which ended in China in 2019.
This is a $200 million program, and the GAO has also identified that some of these grants went directly to the Wuhan Institute of Virology, where there is a suspicion that the lab leak began the pandemic. Has USAID awarded funds to the Academy of Military Medical Sciences in China?
Not to my knowledge, but I'd have to
I think the answer is once again yes.
that the Congress?
GAO has found that there have been subawards of NIH money, as probably as well as USAID money, that went to the Academy of not just medical research, military medical research in China. Now, part of the
Like, it's the
unknowns
same as the
here is this: we
conversation
can't get
where
the
kind
numbers to
Why do you want to share this now?
it looks like if the states
By the way, sorry to interrupt. I think
Your torch is
Torch is on.
Your
Kill
flashlight
your
is going to kill your battery. Yes.
I'm complaining about battery already.
You are very nice to point that out. You'd be like, why is my battery? I have an extra battery. It's still battery.
It looks like if the states, irrespective of where it is, want to do something, no matter what, whoever comes close, whatever you say is evil, is wrong. If only you're not doing what they want. They control the media, even the social media. Now, they have money to get involved by employing quote-unquote soldiers, working for them big time. As you said, traditional media, television. My mom will listen and take something out of it. I strongly believe my daughter will not watch television, but she's largely on her phone. But now, on her phone, somebody is remoting it.
Is what?
like
Controlling her.
Controlling her.
Or remotely.
kind of like brainwashing.
Oh,
Yes.
programming.
So it's like you even don't know what to say, what to do, where to pass. Seriously. The world is not a safe
Why
world.
did you show us that video?
This video tells me somebody is lying and the person is authority.
So,
And people,
Yes.
we all know she's lying. It's just because somebody put her there. And should be protected.
I didn't watch the video, so I don't know.
I heard like something that the point of this video is to say that the coronavirus was created in a medical facility, pharmaceutical facility.
Yes.
It's a lab.
It's a lab in Wuhan.
Okay, yeah, I get
And
it.
they have voted money to do A, B, C, D.
But is there a way like to prove?
Yes, then account for the money.
I can believe in that, but I still need evidence.
প্রত্যেকের বক্তব্য শোনা হলো। আমিও কিছু ভারতের মিডিয়া সংক্রান্ত বিষয় নিয়ে বক্তব্য রাখলাম, আমি সেগুলো রেকর্ড রাখিনি। কারণ আমি আমার দেশের হারামজাদা রাজনীতিকদের চিনি। তারা আমার বক্তব্য শুনলে হয়তো আমার পিঠের ছাল, আমার বাড়ির লোকজনের পিঠের ছাল, আমার যেটুকু যা অবশিষ্ট আছে সব কিছু ভেঙে চুরে চুরমার করে দেওয়ার তাদের ক্ষমতা আছে, এটা আমি জানি। সুতরাং আমি সেই বক্তব্যগুলো রেকর্ড করিনি। তো অবশ্যই আমি খুব ভালো কিছু আমাদের দেশ সম্পর্কে বলেছি বলে আমার মনে হয় না। যা বলেছি তার জন্য দেশের বর্তমান অবস্থাই দায়ী। আজকের যাই হোক, ট্যুর এবং ট্যুরের পরে আমি গ্লোবাল মিডিয়া ফোরামে আসা অনেক বিভিন্ন দেশের মিডিয়া প্রতিনিধিদের সাথে কথা বললাম, তাদের সঙ্গে আলোচনা করলাম মিডিয়া, গভর্নেন্স, প্রেস ফ্রিডম ইত্যাদি বিভিন্ন বিষয় নিয়ে। বিভিন্ন দেশে প্রেসের স্বাধীনতা, সাধারণ মানুষের রাইটস, এইসব বিষয় নিয়ে খুবই গুরুগম্ভীর আলোচনা হলো। আশার আলোকহীন একটা নিরানন্দময় ব্যাপারে, একটা নিরানন্দ জায়গায় এসে আলোচনা শেষ হলো। আমাকে ইনভাইট করা হয়েছিল হোটেলে। ইউএস থেকে একজন এসছেন জেনিন বলে, তিনি আমাকে রাত 9টা নাগাদ ডিনারে আমন্ত্রণ জানিয়েছিলেন, কিন্তু দুঃখের বিষয় আমি আমন্ত্রণটা রাখতে পারছি না। তার কারণ আমাকে গিয়ে প্যাকিংয়ের ঝঞ্ঝাট মেটাতে হবে। এই ক্যান্ডিডেটদের সাথে আমার আর একদিনই দেখা হবে, সেটা হচ্ছে কালকে গ্লোবাল মিডিয়া ফোরামের মিটিং চলাকালীন। তারপর আর আমার এখানে থাকা হচ্ছে না, খারাপ লাগছে। ডয়েচে ওয়েলের বিল্ডিং, ডিএইচএল, ইউনিভার্সিটি অফ বন, রাইনের পরে আমরা এতক্ষণ আড্ডা দিলাম। এবার আমি আস্তে আস্তে ফিরে যাই আমার বাসায়। কালকে এদের সাথে দেখা করব, যতদূর পারবো নেটওয়ার্কিং করার চেষ্টা করব। দেখা যাক কি হয় বা কি হতে পারে।